Good evening. I'm Bob Toomey. Welcome to Around the Old Town. With me tonight is Christy Coombs. Christy, thanks again for coming on.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
You're a regular actually on our show, and it's unfortunate under the circumstances why we're united, but the causes that you've helped push forward are tremendous. Personally, from experience, a number of families have been helped by Christy and her Jeff Coombs Foundation. And the main reason we're talking tonight is the Jeff Coombs Road Race is coming up again. Can you elaborate and tell us what's up for this year?
This is the 10th annual event. It's hard to believe that it's been 10 years and for a lot of reasons, but it'll be the 10th annual event. It's now called the Jeff Coombs Memorial Road Race Walk and Family Day because we've really focused on bringing the families out, whether they want to run or walk or just hang out. It's a good event for all the families to come to. And this year is going to be on a special day. It'll be on what would have been Jeff's 53rd birthday, September 18th. The start time, registration will begin at 7:30. The event will begin around 9 o'clock. We'll start off with ceremonies about 8:30, and then we should be all done by around noon after giving away the awards and doing the raffles and all the other fun stuff that we have going on. We're doing a few different things this year. We really want to focus on, as I said, focus on families, and we want to pay tribute to the military in an even bigger way than we did last year. We have former State Trooper Dan Clark, known as the Singing State Trooper. He's going to come out and he's going to sing his Armed Forces medley, and we are inviting military personnel to come and be recognized as a unit. And I read about this flag that was making its way across the country. It's called the Patriot Flag. Two firefighters from San Diego, California, were taking this flag across the country, hitting every one of the 50 states, and flying the flag in those 50 states at some event. The flag is 30 by 50 feet, weighs 75 pounds. They're going to end their tour. It's being financed by Federal Express and U-Haul, and they're ending their tour at the 3 crash sites the weekend of 9/11. And then from there, they've got a couple of other stops. So I contacted them, told them what we have going on, and said, could we have the flag? So they're going to be bringing the flag to the event.
Oh, that's
We're going to hang it from 2 ladder trucks from the town's ladder truck, and one that they'll hopefully borrow from another town. And that'll be part of our military tribute. And the purpose of them taking the flag across the country is to pay tribute to those that died on 9/11 and to the heroes of 9/11, and also to pay tribute to the military. So it fits right in with what we're doing.
Sure.
I'm really pleased that we're able to get the flag. I think it's going to be really cool for everybody to see it, and it's going to add a special part to the day.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, and so there's the usual stuff going on, and we have even more kids activities this year, and registration can be done online through coolrunning.com, active.com, or you can go to the Jeff Coombs website, jeffcoombsfund.org, and download an application or get an application at various locations around town. And if you register by August 31st, you pay less, and you'll also be guaranteed a T-shirt.
Fortunately, it's become so popular that a lot of runners don't get it the day of the road race.
Right, exactly, because we usually order about 1,000 T-shirts and we still run out. It's really, it's a good problem to have.
Right.
It's really amazing, and this year we're going back to the red, white, and blue theme, so we're going to have white T-shirts, which we haven't done since the first year of the road race, with the Jeff Coombs logo on the back and the flag on the front, and they're one of the most coveted T-shirts in town.
No doubt about it.
It's nice to hear that people are wearing them all over the place. They've been seen in Las Vegas and in Disney World and even out overseas. So it's nice that people pay tribute that way. I
agree. And you talked about Family Day. I've had the opportunity to attend many years, and of course my children attend, and anyone that knows me knows I'm not a runner, so I am part of the Family Day aspect of it. But you have a bounce thing, and you have ice cream and hot dogs and pizza and the clown makeup or whatever the kids get made up, and there's so many things that I'm aware of that are available for the children.
Right, and the nice thing is that we've had businesses from in and around Abington come to us and say, how can we get involved? This year, I was at the police road race in May, I believe, and J.P. Ryan Tavern was there, and they had more than 50 runners participate in the police road race, and they came to me and said, we want to do the same for you. So I spoke to the owner the other day, and he's all excited about it. He's recruiting runners. We're hoping that the tavern will do the same because they had runners at the or the Cellar. They had runners at the police road race. We have Cream getting involved again this year. They'll be giving out samples. We have the Mix 98.5.
Music van or whatever.
The ice cream truck
Right.
coming. Actually, I don't think they're 98.5 anymore, but the Mix van, they're going to be giving away Turkey Hill ice cream. They'll be there early in the morning. And we have a number of restaurants from around town that are participating and giving out free food. We'll have more than 100 raffles again. And I just got a call today from an organization that wants to do the character balloons, the balloon twisting.
Oh, yes.
And that's Fun Faces with a Twist. They're going to come volunteer their time, and they're professional balloon twisters.
Right.
So that should be really nice. We'll have the face painting and everything else as usual. And so it should be a good time. We're expecting this to be the biggest event yet.
It's the 10th anniversary.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. A lot of people are focusing on the 10th anniversary, and we're hoping that being Jeff's birthday, it'll mean something to those people, our friends and family that knew Jeff, and I also have 20 family members from Arizona coming out.
Oh, fantastic.
And so that's going to be a nice day. On Saturday, we'll be taking a bus to New York to go to the memorial, but then we'll all be there on Sunday to celebrate Jeff's birthday in the best way we know how now.
Sure. Also, there's the road race, but we also have the National Day of Services and Remembrance.
Right.
Could you please elaborate on that?
Right. Well, Senator Kennedy wrote the Serve America Act, and last year President Obama signed into legislation that 9/11 should be acknowledged as a 9/11 Day of Service and Remembrance. So there's this organization called My Good Deed that has been working the last year to work with different organizations across the country to make 9/11 the largest national day of service ever. They're hoping to get thousands and thousands of people involved doing an act of service in memory of those who died. And so we'll be participating in that on September 11th at the Rose Kennedy Greenway through Mass Military Heroes Fund, which I'm involved with. We'll be putting together 1,000 care packages to send to the troops. We'll also be involved with the American Red Cross blood drive at Fenway Park, which I encourage everybody to come to because it's not only a blood drive, it's an event, and
Sure.
it's a lot of fun, and it's an interesting way to see Fenway Park.
I believe it.
And you'll also be saving up to 3 lives with your donation of a pint.
Sure.
And so there's a lot of different activities going on in the city that weekend, the weekend of the 10th and 11th, that people can go participate in. And then the road race, I'm encouraging people to, when you come, to bring a can of food. Make that part of your day of service project. Bring a can of food, which we will donate to the Abington Food Pantry. And you'll also get a ticket for a special raffle prize. And so there's all kinds of ways that even if you're not involved with any of these things, we encourage you to do something, do an act of kindness in memory of those who died on 9/11 and make it your way of participating in the National Day of Service.
Sure.
If you go to 911dayofservice.org, you can post on there, join the I Will campaign, and post on there what you will do to remember 9/11.
This is important because it doesn't cost you anything. It's time. And a lot of families now with the economy aren't doing well off financially. But unfortunately, because a lot of them aren't working, you do have time that you can make available to some worthwhile charitable organization.
Right.
And many of them can use the help.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be anything big. It can be something as simple as going to your neighbor and saying, is there something I can do for you? Helping the old lady next door put out her garbage.
Sure.
Just say, I'm going to do this in memory of Jeff Coombs, or I'm going to do this in memory of my mom's friend who lived in New York that I know that died on 9/11. Or just do it because you feel like it's the right thing
The right
to do.
thing to do, sure.
Yeah.
I used to teach CCD, and I try to train the kids that you treat people the way you want to get treated.
Yeah.
What goes around comes around, and it's a small act to be kind to someone. It doesn't cost you anything, maybe a couple of minutes of your life, but it comes back
Right.
100 times to you.
Right. It makes sense to, the way the country came together after 9/11 is why we have promoted 9/11 as becoming a national day of service. We've had school kids write to senators and say, we think 9/11 should be a national holiday. The families have said, no, we don't want it to be a national holiday. We would rather it become a national day of service, because if it becomes a national holiday, it's going to become another day of shopping, a day off of school, a day off of work, where people won't acknowledge what the day really
Exactly.
stands for. At least by doing this, a national day of service, it reminds them what they're doing this service project for, and it gives them a reason to do something good in memory of somebody.
It's a perfect scenario because
Absolutely.
I know myself, Veterans Day, you think maybe a couple of minutes about the veterans, but as you say, people won't shop, and President's Day becomes just a
Right.
car sales day. So that's very good thinking, logical thinking on
Right.
your part in the group that you
Yeah.
represent and you work with.
Yeah.
Also, the firefighters, I believe, are going to do something on September 10th.
Right. The Richard Smith from the fire department contacted me, and he had been talking with Chief Nuttall about what the town should do on 9/11 this year. And I just said, whatever you do, please don't do it on 9/11 because I would really like to attend, and 9/11 is going to be such a crazy day. I'll be in Boston at the commemoration services in the morning, which, by the way, there's a name reading going on at the State House at 8:30 in the morning on the State House steps. And we invite everybody to come out and listen to that. We'll be reading 206 names of the Massachusetts victims, and the governor and the lieutenant governor will be there. And it's really a nice ceremony. This year is going to be extra special for me because we always have somebody playing taps as the flag is raised and then lowered to half-mast.
Sure.
And this year, our taps player, our lead taps player, is going to be Tim Nuttall, the fire chief's son.
Yes.
We're really focusing this year on the commemoration. We're really focusing on kids being our future. And so when we were discussing who to get to play taps, a friend of mine has done it in the past, and he's unavailable this year. So I said, well, I know this kid. He performed taps at a service, candlelight service we had in Abington over Memorial Day weekend, and he did a great job. What do you think if I ask him? He's a fire chief's son. It's completely appropriate. They loved the idea.
Sure.
And instead of having a retired military person as his backup, instead of having Tim as the backup, they decided they want Tim to be the lead taps player and have the military guy be his echo, because it fits in with our focus of children being our future.
Bringing up the youth, right.
So that's a really neat thing for Abington. So I hope Tim can get some of his friends to come out and listen to him. I know Tim realizes it's such an honor for him, and he'll be playing for the governor and the lieutenant governor and more importantly, the families of the 9/11 victims from Massachusetts.
Right. I know Tim personally from school, and he's a hard worker, so I'm sure he's practicing every night.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure he's driving the family crazy,
Yeah,
but
I'm sure
he's
he
the
is.
type that he's committed, and he's going to do very well with it.
Yeah, and I think his parents were very honored to that we asked him to do it.
Sure.
So, and I'm thrilled that Tim accepted. So Saturday night at 7 o'clock at the flagpole, the commemorative flagpole over by the soccer field at the Nisbee Field, the flagpole that's dedicated to Jeff, we'll have a gathering. The fire department wants it to be very low-key, no formal program or anything, just a place where families can come, gather, and talk about their experiences on 9/11, remember the day, and just kind of be together to remember the 10th anniversary.
And that's September 10th.
That's going to be September 10th at 7 o'clock at the Nisbee Field, the flagpole at the Nisbee Field, and there will be some music likely, and it'll be a candlelight ceremony. So we're hoping that the town of Abington will come out to that and just support each other the way we did 10 years ago when we gathered at the flagpole over by the high school and saw that beautiful rainbow that to this day I'm convinced was Jeff letting us know that he was there.
He's there. He made it. Yeah. The last thing that I remember now, you mentioned, we spoke before the show tonight, you're talking about the steel.
Right.
Can you elaborate?
A couple of months ago, I was reading different articles online and saw that all these towns were getting pieces of steel from the World Trade Center. And I had been to Hangar 17 2 years ago to see basically what I called the graveyard of the World Trade Center, to see all the twisted, tangled remnants of the World Trade Center in this enormous hangar. And they allowed the families to come through and take a tour and talk to us about what they were going to do with it and such. So earlier this summer, when I was reading these articles about these various towns who have little connection to 9/11 at all, were getting pieces of steel to build their various memorials, I contacted the Port Authority and said, what do we have to do to get a piece of steel? This is my story. And within 3 weeks, we were approved. Abington is going to be getting a piece of steel it's a steel beam, just shy of 3 feet long, weighs 206 pounds. And we are having a memorial site designed by my daughter's boyfriend, who's an architect. And so he's doing it free of charge. We have people that are volunteering to help go to New York and get the steel. We're hoping that when it does arrive here, which I'm hoping will be before September 11th, we're hoping to have somewhat of a grand ushering into the town by the police and fire department, bringing it in an appropriate, very respectful way. Right. In fact, when I was talking to Rich Smith about it tonight, I found myself getting choked up about
I
it,
am,
and it really caught me by surprise. But I think it's going to be a neat thing for Abington. We're thinking of putting it in front of, we've got a space in front of the Abington Police Department near the sign that's on the main street there.
Sure.
We wanted some place that was visible on a drive-by. We wanted some place that it would likely not be vandalized.
Right.
And who's going to have the guts to vandalize something
Right in
at a
front of the
police
police
station? The other option is the fire station over on the end of Rockland Street. That's a possibility. But we're just waiting for the design to come back and see if we can raise some money to build this the way we want it built and give Abington a piece of history.
It's interesting, you mentioned that you dealt with the bureaucracy at the Mass Port, or not Mass Port, excuse me, the Port Authority
Right.
of New York, New Jersey.
Right.
And to get information back in 3 weeks and a commitment in 3 weeks is phenomenal.
I was absolutely shocked because I mentioned to somebody that I was going after this, and they said, oh, you know, it takes about a year for
Sure.
approval. I says, well, we'll see.
Right.
And 3 weeks later, I got a letter back saying that we were approved, and it just totally blew me away. I don't know if they're just maybe more anxious to get the steel moved, or you know, if they just figured that.
I think that you've been very involved in helping families and been involved in the cause.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
So I think
But it's going to be an emotional day when we do go to New York and retrieve that piece of steel that's been designated for the town. And I hope people realize the importance of having it here, because while a lot of towns have been granted the steel, some towns have been denied. And you know, I think it will mean something to the town of Abington, because there are a lot of people that certainly know the story about Jeff and being a resident here. And you know, we've lived here now for 17 years. My kids were raised here.
Right.
So there's very much a hometown connection. And Abington has been so wonderful to us over the last 10 years. And you know, my father-in-law even acknowledged that we wouldn't have gotten this kind of support from any other town. So I'm happy to be able to present that to the town as a gift, and I hope that they see it that way.
I'm sure they will. And you mentioned the support that you've given, that the town has given yourself and the Coombs Foundation. And I said at the beginning of the show tonight, I know your foundation has helped out numerous families in Abington. You've given back tenfold because different situations where there's been families, parents have died at young ages, or illnesses, just different catastrophes and financial and illness. And your group is the first one there to respond. And I thank you personally, and I know many of these groups would thank you and have thank you.
What I tell people is that I don't want us to be looked at as a last resort, even though we help out in ways that other organizations can't or won't. But I don't want people to look at us as a last resort. I want, you know, if they're having difficulties, whatever the problem is, I want them to reach out to us, and then, you know, we'll decide if it's something that the foundation can do.
Right.
And I can honestly say, I think there may have only been one or two instances where we just weren't allowed to help them out.
Right. That doesn't surprise you because I know you're always giving, and it's important. So to recap, if we may, let's try to do it chronologically.
There's a lot going on.
Right, an awful lot, but that's a good thing, and it's all positive. September 10th will be the day of, the firefighters ceremony at Jeff Coombs Pole.
Right.
Saturday night at 7 p.m.
It's a 9/11 remembrance ceremony at the Jeff Coombs flagpole at the Nisby Field.
And then September 11th will be, you're going to be at the Greenway, Rose Kennedy Greenway, packaging for the soldiers.
Early afternoon for the soldiers, and in the morning, if anybody wants to come listen to Tim play taps at a very awesome ceremony at the State House steps. That starts sharply at 8:30. Okay. And then one thing I forgot to mention, if I can, at 1 o'clock, Senator Lautenberg, I believe, has asked, he's actually written legislation and gotten it approved, that across the country at 1 o'clock, there'll be a moment of silence followed by national bell ringing to commemorate 9/11. Oh. So they're encouraging pretty much anyone with bells, any building with bells, right. Churches, you know, town halls, anyone that has bells, to chime their bells at 1 o'clock. I just said to somebody the other day, nobody has talked about an end point, so I don't know how long they're supposed to chime the bells. But and the mayor of Boston, Mayor Menino, is very excited about it. We talked to him about it, and he's got handbell ringers out at different locations in the city, and the Salvation Army is going to be out there ringing bells, and so it's going to be a really very cool thing. So I encourage kids, if you have bells, everybody loves to ring bells, to go out your front door at 1 o'clock and start chiming those bells, because it's going to be a really, really incredible thing. And I have a feeling you're going to be hearing bells across the country for a couple of hours.
That's
that
a good
day.
thing, though. We can tolerate it for that.
Yeah, it really is. And you know, it's nice that people are being creative in ways that they want to bring the country together and remember that day, because it's a day that certainly changed us all for one reason or another. And you know, one thing that I enjoy doing is going to the schools and talking to the kids about what 9/11 meant to my family, what it meant to our town, what it means to our country, and how we've all recovered from it, and how we have, in very strange ways, become better for it, and individually and as a country.
Sure.
And you know, it's something that education is an important part of the 9/11 story. And we need to keep that going.
Keep that going, I agree.
Absolutely.
Also on September 11th, as we said, National Day of Service and Remembrance and Service and Remembrance. Please help volunteer somewhere. Like Christy said, your neighbor, just do an act of kindness. It's important to try to help somebody out. Then September 18th will be the road race, the Family Day. Road race is a small part of it, but it is a part of it. And the Family Day aspect, as you said, you've been emphasizing more and more. And come down and join the fun. It's well worth it.
Yeah. And if there are any guys or you know, anyone really, but we need some muscle at 2:30 at the Woodsdale School on Saturday to help set up tents and you know, do all the manual labor to get things going for Sunday. We'd appreciate anybody that, if they want to give me a call or email me to let me know you can help out. That would be great.
Well, maybe get Matt Hanley and Nate Elliott and the
Yeah,
crews,
there you go.
those
there you
road
go.
runners.
And if anybody's looking for an idea of what you can do on September 11th, if you want to know about the activities going on in town, we're still in the process of working on some other community service events that we're going to be looking for volunteers for. We encourage you to you know, give me a call, again, email me, and I'll give you some suggestions. And you know, just come out and be part of the day.
Be part of it, sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I have, Christy. I hope, I can't think of much more information we can put out there.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much for all you've
you.
done and your time tonight.
And you know, again, I'd just like to say to the town, this town has been absolutely unbelievable in the last 10 years. And you know, people are always thanking me for what the foundation does for this town and for people across Massachusetts. And I say, it's not me doing this. This is a community. You know, it really takes a village to create something like this. And the foundation was created because of the good works of everybody that was supporting Jeff and my family, and coming together because they needed a way to be together to think about what the horrible things that happened on 9/11. So it's a town effort, and you know, we couldn't do this without everybody, and it takes more than 100 volunteers to make this road race happen, and you know, to bring out more than 1,000 people to get involved, and it's really, I think it's our town's biggest event, and I think it's something that the town loves, and I really enjoy doing it, and you know, I'm very thankful to our committee and our volunteers that come out to make it happen.
Well, again, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
This is Christy Coombs, president of the Jeff Coombs Memorial Foundation.
Yeah.
And we're going to have some guests coming on afterwards. We're going to take a break, a couple of minutes, and we'll be joined by Nate Elliott from the Cellar to talk about the 3-on-3 basketball. If he's unavailable, I'm going to have to read the information. And we're also going to talk about the Kaylee Sullivan golf tournament and the AEF golf tournament. So thank you. If you can be patient, we'll be right back with you.